Have you ever found yourself trapped in the darkness of enforced silence, as if your words had turned to ashes, weightless, without an echo? Perhaps you've tried distancing, strategic absence, hoping that the void would force the other person to see the value you thought you'd lost. The agony of not being understood, of having your voice stifled by assumptions, is a silent prison. The temptation to use no contact as a shield or a weapon is almost unbearable. But what if this tactic, so widespread and seemingly powerful, were actually eroding your very soul, sabotaging your peace, and hindering your true flourishing? There was a time when I, like many, deluded myself with the idea that silence was a tool of power, a ploy to force reflection, to win an argument without uttering a single word. I believed that absence would create such a large gap that the other person would be compelled to fill it with the recognition I so craved. But what I reaped was only more distance, more resentment, and, most painfully, the stagnation of my own learning and growth. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, in his timeless wisdom, reminds us that time heals wounds if you know how to use it. However, using time to orchestrate manipulation, to weave a web of absence with the goal of control, was never the intention of true healing. The core of the problem is that we are frequently seduced by the pursuit of control over that which, by nature, eludes us. We dedicate our energy to shaping others' reactions instead of channeling it into the only territory that truly belongs to us, our own actions, our choices, and above all, our inner peace. In this video, we will delve into 5 Stoic pillars that not only uncover the profound ineffectiveness of no contact when used as a manipulative tool, but more importantly, offer a genuine path to building unwavering emotional resilience and cultivating relationships that flourish in authenticity and mutual respect. If this message resonates with the soul you are building, comment authenticity below. Let's explore this journey of self-discovery and liberation together. Is our incessant quest for control over others, in fact, the invisible anchor that ties us to anguish and frustration in relationships? You convince yourself that by withdrawing your attention, affection, or contact, you are sending a silent ultimatum, a message so powerful it will force the other person to miss you or acknowledge their mistake. You have acted as a strategist, calculating the impact of your absence in hopes of orchestrating a change in the other's behavior. This is a fundamental error, a distorted mirror of reality, believing that we have the power to manage others' emotions, decisions, and freedom of choice. For this, we use silence as a psychological lever. However, this approach rarely produces the desired outcome. Most often, it only deepens the chasm of distance, sows more resentment, and, ironically, solidifies the perception that you are punishing instead of inviting genuine and constructive reflection. Manipulative silence is a monologue without an audience, an inaudible cry that only echoes in your own frustration. Epictetus, the slave who became one of the greatest Stoic masters, etched a liberating truth. Some things are in our control and others are not. Our opinions, our impulses, our desires, and our aversions, these are the domains where our sovereignty is absolute. But the body, property, reputation, positions, and, crucially, the actions, thoughts, and feelings of other people are beyond our control. The attempt to extend our will beyond our territory, to control what is intrinsically beyond our reach, is, for the Stoics, the primary source of all suffering and dissatisfaction. Stoic wisdom invites us to an act of supreme courage, to focus our energy, our mind, and our heart only on what is ours, releasing the craving to manipulate the vast and uncontrollable external world. It is an invitation to peace through surrender to what is. Here is the map to untangle this invisible rope, starting today. Begin to draw a clear and conscious line between what lies within your control and what belongs to life's unpredictable flow. Your words, your actions, your emotional reactions, these are yours. The other person's reactions, thoughts, choices, and feelings, however much you wish them different, belong exclusively to them. Instead of withdrawing to force a reaction like an invisible puppet master, opt for crystal clear clarity. Communicate your boundaries and needs directly, respectfully, and unwaveringly. For example, instead of disappearing, say calmly and firmly, "I need some time to process what happened, and will only resume talking when we are both in a calmer state." This is not a veiled punishment. It is a declaration of self-care, a healthy boundary that protects your integrity. Practice radical acceptance that the other person may not react in the way you idealized, and realize that this does not diminish your worth nor invalidate your virtuous action. Your true power lies in your own integrity, in your ability to act with virtue and reason, regardless of what the other chooses to do. Free yourself from the expectation of a predefined script for others' reactions. When you master the art of focusing your light only on the territory you truly control, you will free yourself from the invisible chains of frustration, anger, and disappointment that arise from the futile attempt to shape the uncontrollable. You will discover an inexhaustible source of inner peace, a serenity that does not depend on the fickle actions of other people or external approval. You will cultivate unwavering strength, a resilience that emanates from the depths of your being, allowing you to navigate life's storms with dignified calm and a firm purpose. Silence can be a sanctuary for the soul, but when it transforms into a weapon, what is its true cost to your essence and to the bridge that connects people? You, perhaps without realizing the depth of the trap, use no contact or silence as a disguised form of punishment, to make the other person feel the weight of your absence, or to force an apology you deem due. You convince yourself that by abruptly falling silent and withdrawing without offering any explanation, you are teaching a valuable lesson, or perhaps irrefutably establishing your own worth. However, this behavior, though often masked under the banner of self-preservation or strategy, is, in its essence, a passive-aggressive form of control and manipulation. It not only creates a communication vacuum, but an emotional swamp. This swamp is quickly filled by toxic assumptions, corrosive anxiety, and mutual resentment that undermines any genuine chance of resolution, understanding, or reconciliation. The other person may in fact feel confused, hurt, or even, paradoxically, relieved by your absence, but rarely, if ever, learns the specific lesson you intended to convey. Instead, they learn to distrust and pull away. Seneca, in his profound letters to Lucilius, elevates the importance of frankness and clarity as non-negotiable pillars in human relationships and a virtuous life. He argues that the good man has nothing to hide, and that the light of truth should guide our interactions. Manipulative silence, by its very nature, directly contradicts the Stoic principle of living in accordance with reason and virtue. It configures itself as a cowardly escape from honest communication, a cunning and disingenuous attempt to influence or coerce, which collides head-on with the ethics of integrity, transparency, and mutual respect that the Stoics so cherished. True virtue, for them, resides in the clarity of expression, in the courage to articulate the truth, even if uncomfortable, and not in the calculating cunning of remaining silent to gain a selfish advantage. Authenticity is the path, not the artifice. Here is the path to drain the swamp of armed silence, starting today. Instead of withdrawing abruptly, leaving a trail of uncertainties, practice the art of assertive and empathetic communication. If you feel the need for space, don't hide. Declare it openly, with kindness and firmness. Say, for example, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and need some time to process my emotions. Can we talk about this later when I'm calmer and can express myself clearly?" This not only establishes a healthy boundary, but does so without the intention to punish or hurt, inviting mutual understanding. If you are upset or frustrated, instead of shutting down, channel that energy into expressing your dissatisfaction constructively, focusing on your own feelings and needs instead of casting blame. For example, instead of an accusation, use an I statement. I feel disrespected when specific action happens, and I need specific solution to happen so that we can move forward and rebuild trust. This approach opens the doors to meaningful dialogue, to understanding, and to the possibility of resolution, instead of erecting an impenetrable wall of silence that only isolates and destroys. When you free yourself from the trap of manipulative silence, you will begin to build relationships on solid foundations of trust, honesty, and respect, instead of building them on fear, coercion, or uncertainty. You will emerge as a person of greater integrity, capable of facing the discomfort inherent in truth and vulnerability, in the name of deeper, more authentic, and more meaningful human connections. Your virtue will be strengthened, and your voice, when used with purpose and clarity, will become a beacon of light, not a shadow of manipulation. Write in the comments, "My voice matters." Leave your mark. Why do we fear vulnerability and clarity so much, preferring the illusory comfort of silence, unspoken assumptions, and chasms of misunderstanding? You find yourself in a vicious cycle of avoiding difficult conversations, hoping, with a blind and often frustrated faith, that the other person will magically understand what you need, what you feel, without a single word being spoken. You fear the rejection or inherent conflict that direct and honest communication can generate. For this reason, you choose the path of silence, accumulating layers of unexpressed frustrations, like heavy stones in your soul. Or worse, you assume with a dangerous presumption that the other person should, by intuition or telepathy, know your deepest needs and expectations. When this illusory expectation is inevitably broken, disappointment and frustration settle in like weeds. This common error of fleeing honest communication and the courageous setting of clear boundaries leads to chronic misunderstandings, to mutual resentment that poisons relationships. This generates a bitter feeling that your most basic needs are never truly met, precisely because they were never properly expressed with the clarity they deserved. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, in his Meditations, exhorts us to use reason and logic as unwavering compasses to guide us in all interactions and life's challenges. He presents us with the maxim, "It is our duty to strive for our actions to be consistent with reason and our words to be sincere." Honest, transparent communication and the courageous setting of clear boundaries are not acts of weakness. They are, in fact, acts of supreme reason, profound self-knowledge, and moral courage. They reflect the Stoic virtues of justice and temperance, ensuring that you respect yourself first, and at the same time, offer the other person the indispensable clarity for a just, equitable, and above all, virtuous interaction. Clarity, for the Stoics, is an active virtue that prevents unnecessary suffering and builds bridges where walls once stood. Here is the map to ignite the beacon of vulnerable clarity, starting today. Begin to practice I statements, a powerful tool for expressing your truth without accusing. Instead of launching an attack like, "You never listen to me," rephrase it to, "I feel ignored and unvalued when specific situation happens, and I would like to be heard with more attention and respect." This not only expresses your internal experience authentically, but also invites the other to empathy instead of defensiveness. Next, with the same courage, establish clear and non-negotiable boundaries. If you need time alone to recharge your energy after an exhausting day at work, don't expect the other person to guess. Communicate. "I need 30 minutes of absolute silence when I get home for mental decompression. After that period, I will be fully present and available for you." Be specific about what you need and, equally important, about what you will not accept in your life. Should a boundary be violated, reinforce it calmly but with unwavering firmness, explaining the consequences logically and dispassionately, without anger, guilt, or punishment. Always remember, healthy boundaries are about protecting your energy, your integrity, and your emotional well-being. They are not and should never be about controlling the other. They are acts of self-love and respect. When you master the art of honest communication and the courage to set clear boundaries, your relationships will be built on a rock of mutual respect, unwavering trust, and deep understanding. You will feel more secure in your own skin, more valued in your connections, and more capable of navigating life's inherent challenges with unbreakable integrity, knowing that your needs are expressed, honored, and consequently more likely to be met. You will become the beacon of your own truth. What if true and deepest emotional freedom lay in unreservedly embracing what we cannot change, instead of exhausting our soul in a futile battle against reality? You find yourself in a constant internal battle, clinging to an idealized, almost romantic vision of how the other person should be, how the relationship should unfold, how life should fit into your plans. You have invested a colossal amount of energy, time, and emotion to mold reality to your image, so that the relationship bends to your deepest expectations. And when reality, with its inherent stubbornness, drastically diverges from this predefined script, you feel an overwhelming wave of frustration, corrosive anger, or paralyzing sadness. This obsessive attachment to the expected is a common yet devastating error that traps us in an endless cycle of suffering and disillusionment. You wear yourself out trying to change what is, by definition, beyond your sphere of influence. This inability to accept reality as it presents itself prevents you from finding genuine peace and moving forward with the serenity you deserve, whether within a relationship or on the solitary journey of rediscovering yourself. Epictetus, with his lapidary clarity, taught us that it is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things. Radical acceptance, in the profound context of Stoicism, should not be confused with passivity, apathetic resignation, or giving up. On the contrary, it is an act of supreme wisdom, the ability to recognize with unwavering lucidity the invisible yet crucial line that divides what we can control, our actions, our thoughts, our virtues, and what, by its nature, eludes us. Others' choices, external events, life's unpredictable flow. Virtuously detaching from the outcome is an essential practice to achieve ataraxia, the much sought-after tranquility of mind. It is the profound understanding that once you have acted with virtue, with reason, and with the best of intentions, the final outcome is not yours to control, and therefore should not be the source of your perturbation or suffering. Your peace cannot be a hostage to what is outside of you. Here is the step-by-step guide to dancing the dance of radical acceptance, starting today. Practice daily the exercise of the dichotomy of control, a central pillar of Stoicism. Do your part with the highest integrity. Communicate with crystal clear clarity. Set your boundaries with unwavering respect. Act with virtue in every interaction. After you have done everything within your power, consciously, with an act of will, release attachment to the outcome. For example, if you had a difficult and vulnerable conversation, you did your part by expressing your feelings and boundaries with authenticity. The other person's reaction, whatever it may be, understanding, anger, indifference, is, by definition, outside your control. Take a deep breath, feel the tension dissipate, and say to yourself with conviction, "I did what was within my power. I acted with integrity. The rest is beyond my domain, and I accept that fully." This does not mean you don't care about the situation or the person. It means rather that you refuse to be a slave to expectations, to have your happiness and peace hijacked by an uncertain future. Focus on nurturing your own inner peace, in the profound satisfaction of knowing that you acted according to your highest values, with your moral compass. If the person, even after your virtuous efforts, does not change, this becomes valuable information for you about the real compatibility of the relationship, and not a testament to your personal failure. It is data, not judgment. When you master the art of radical acceptance and the liberating power of detachment from the outcome, you will uncover a deep and lasting emotional freedom. Your happiness will no longer be a hostage to the fickle actions of other people, nor to external circumstances beyond your control. You will cultivate unwavering serenity, an equanimity that will allow you to face any setback, any storm with dignified calm and unbreakable resilience, living in intrinsic harmony with reality, exactly as it presents itself. You will become the master of your own peace. Like if you are applying this now, show your strength. What is the true cost of losing ourselves, of breaking into pieces in the incessant quest for external validation, or in maintaining a relationship at any cost, sacrificing our very essence? You may find yourself in an exhausting cycle of constant adjustment, adjusting your personality, your deepest opinions, your most legitimate desires to fit the other person's expectations or to avoid the discomfort of conflict. You have sought external validation as if it were the air you breathe. You mistakenly believe that your happiness, your worth, and your very existence intrinsically depend on someone's approval, love, or attention. This common and deeply harmful error of neglecting your own authenticity and stagnating your personal growth in the name of a relationship is a slow poison for the soul. It not only drains your vital energy, dilutes your individuality, and extinguishes your unique light, but also creates an inauthentic version of yourself, a shadow of what could be. This inauthenticity will inevitably lead to a persistent internal emptiness and superficial relationships, for they are not built on the truth of who you really are, but on a facade, an illusion. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, urged us with a silent passion to live in deep harmony with our own rational nature, and with the universal reason that permeates the cosmos. He wrote in his Meditations a truth that echoes through the centuries. Do not be disturbed by external things, but disturb yourself if you do not act justly. Authenticity for the Stoics is not a luxury, but a non-negotiable pillar of virtue. It means acting according to reason, to the intrinsic truth of who you are, and to what is truly good for your soul, regardless of external approval, applause, or criticism. Personal growth in this context is a continuous and dedicated journey of self-improvement, focused on strengthening your character, enhancing your wisdom, and expanding your understanding of the world, not in shaping and contorting yourself to fit others' often arbitrary expectations. It is an invitation to be your own sculptor. Here is the path to cultivate the garden of your authenticity, starting today. Invest time, energy, and intention in deep self-knowledge. Ask yourself uncomfortable yet liberating questions. What are my fundamental and non-negotiable values? What are my passions that ignite my soul? What are my absolute boundaries? Begin to make decisions, big and small, that are aligned with these values, even if it means displeasing someone, even if it means facing the real possibility of a relationship ending. For example, if a value of yours is radical honesty, be honest about your feelings and your needs, even if the truth is difficult to utter or to hear. If your passion is a hobby that fills your soul, set aside sacred time for it, even if the other person prefers you to be always available. Prioritize, without guilt, your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Remember, a truly healthy relationship is one in which both individuals are encouraged to grow, to flourish, and to thrive as authentic and complete beings. If you need to step away from a situation or relationship to reconnect with your own essence, do so with dignity, with purpose, and with the clear intention of honoring yourself, not manipulating or punishing the other. Your journey is yours, and it deserves to be lived with integrity. When you direct your unwavering focus towards authenticity and your continuous personal growth, you will rise as a stronger, more resilient, happier, and more complete person within yourself than you ever imagined being. You will begin to attract into your life relationships that not only celebrate your unique individuality, but also support and nurture your journey of self-improvement. And, crucially, you will have the unbreakable courage to step away with integrity and wisdom from those relationships that do not uplift you, that do not make you flourish, that do not see you in your fullness. Your life will be a reflection of your truth. We have reached the end of a journey that I hope has been not only informative, but deeply transformative for your soul. We have recapitulated essential truths. The illusion of controlling the external world only generates an endless cycle of anguish and frustration. Manipulative silence is a treacherous trap that erodes trust and destroys bridges. And honest communication, coupled with the establishment of clear and respectful boundaries, forms the non-negotiable foundation of any truly healthy and lasting relationship. We have learned to dance the dance of radical acceptance, detaching from the outcome to find peace. And finally, that the unwavering focus on our own authenticity and continuous personal growth is, without a doubt, our greatest power and the source of our true strength. You are no longer the person consumed by the vain pursuit of control or caught in the web of manipulation. You are no longer a hostage to others' validation, nor an echo of external expectations. The person you are becoming each day is someone who embraces virtue as a cloak, reason as a compass, and self-discipline as a muscle to be strengthened. someone who communicates with crystal clear clarity, sets boundaries with unwavering respect, and finds deep peace in the serene acceptance of what cannot be changed. This, my friend, is true Stoic freedom, true self-mastery in relationships and in life. If this video resonated with your soul, if it ignited a spark of genuine transformation within you, I invite you, with an open heart, to join this community of seekers. Like this video so that the message of authenticity and resilience can reach and inspire even more people who desperately need to hear it. Comment below which of the 5 pillars you will apply first in your life, and share a glimpse of how Stoicism is, step by step, changing your perspective and your journey. Share this video with someone you know is caught in the chains of control or silence, someone who urgently needs this message of inner strength and liberation. And, of course, subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of ancient wisdom and personal transformation with us. Your evolution is our mission and our greatest reward. Always remember, true and most lasting strength does not lie in trying to control others or external circumstances, but rather in mastering yourself, in cultivating your own inner garden with wisdom, virtue, and unwavering authenticity.